Welcome to this module on the imperfect tense. Let's look at some examples. We have, he used to live next door to us. Now, the imperfect is used to express this idea of used to with verbs. So here we have it highlighted in red. Other examples could be, he used to speak with a strong accent. I used to play there with my brother. I used to visit my grandparents every weekend. I used to love her. So as you can see, whenever we want to express this idea of used to in English, we're going to use the imperfect to express that in Spanish. Next up, I'd like to look at actually forming the imperfect. So what is the sound of it? Well, it's actually very easy to do. We have two main sounds. It can go to either aber or ia. Now, verbs that end in ar will go to aber, and verbs that end in er or ir will go to the sound of ia. Let's concentrate on this aber sound first. So, the verb of hablar would go to hablaba as the imperfect. Hablar, hablaba. The verb comprar would go to compraba. Estar, estaba. Estudiar, estudiaba. Trabajar, trabajaba. Reparar, reparaba. Dar, daba. Amar, which means to love, amaba. So you can hear this sound repeating over and over again. Let's try it on your own now. What would hablar go to? Hablaba. Comprar, compraba. Estar, estaba. Estudiar, estudiaba. Trabajar, trabajaba. Reparar, reparaba. Dar, daba. Amar, amaba. Now, verbs that end in er or ir will go to the sound of ia. Examples would be salir, salía. Comer, comía. Decir, decía. Querer, quería. Saber, sabía. Tener, tenía. Poder, podía. Vivir, which means to live, vivía. Again, try it on your own. Try to get that sound. Salir would go to salía. Comer, comía. Decir, decía. Querer, quería. Saber, sabía. Tener, tenía. Poder, podía. Vivir, vivía. Let's mix both sounds together now. So it could either go to aber sound or an ia sound, depending, of course, on the verb. Let's begin with comprar. What would it go to in the imperfect? Compraba. Salir, salía. Dar, daba. Comer, comía. Amar, amaba. Reparar, reparaba. Decir, decía. Hablar, hablaba, vivir, vivía, querer, quería, estar, estaba, saber, sabía, estudiar, estudiaba, tener, tenía, trabajar, trabajaba, poder, podía. Let's return now to our example sentences and try to do them in real time. So we had here, he used to live next door to us. So the verb is obviously vivir, and to transform this into the sound of the imperfect, it would become vivía. So in real time, he used to live. All of this is taken care of with the sound of vivía. He used to live. And then next door to us, what they will literally say in Spanish is to our side. So we have al lado, this is to our side, nuestro. So he used to live next door to us, vivía al lado nuestro. In our next sentence, we had he used to speak with a strong accent. So here we have used to speak. So hablar would go to the sound of hablaba in the imperfect. Now going back here, we have he used to speak. Again, all of this is translated with simply hablaba. Now with a strong accent, con un acento fuerte. Hablaba con un acento fuerte. Next up, we had I used to play there with my brother. Now the verb to play is jugar. And again, going to that imperfect sound, jugaba. So I used to play. All of this is simply jugaba. There with my brother would be allí con mi hermano. Jugaba allí con mi hermano. Now we have I used to visit my grandparents each weekend. So the verb that we want to go into the imperfect is to visit. So visitar will go to visitaba. Now we have I used to visit. So visitaba my grandparents. This would be a mis abuelos. In a future lesson, I'll explain more clearly why I put the a here. And then we have each weekend, cada fin de semana. This literally means each end of week. So end of week is how you say weekend in Spanish. Visitaba a mis abuelos cada fin de semana. Then finally we had I used to love her. We're missing love here. And the verb to love, or at least one of them, is amar. So the sound of amar will go to amaba for I used to love. And then I used to love her, la amaba. When using the imperfect in this way, it's very important to visualize it as a horizontal line in the past, just the same as we do with the past progressive. So both are representing horizontal lines in the past and not a line straight down as we do with the simple past. We're going to explore this more in the videos to come. Welcome to part 2. So far, we've seen how there are two main sounds for the imperfect. AR verbs go to aba, and ER or IR verbs go to the sound of ia. We've also seen that we should consider the imperfect or visualize it as a horizontal line in the past. What I'd like to do now is a little bit more practice of getting to the sound of the imperfect by mixing up different verbs together, some of which we haven't used before. For example, what sound would the verb depender go to in the imperfect? dependía, besar, besaba, caminar, caminaba, subir, subía, hacer, hacía, saber, sabía, ayudar, ayudaba, esperar, esperaba, sufrir, sufría, decir, decía, pagar, pagaba, recibir, recibía, usar, usaba, vender, vendía, visitar, visitaba, llamar, llamaba, pedir, pedía, estudiar, estudiaba, explicar, explicaba, estar, estaba, tener, tenía, salir, salía, romper, rompía, aceptar, aceptaba. Next up, I'd like to show you just how easy it is to get to all the other angles inside the imperfect. Let's use hablar as our first example verb. Now we know that hablar will go into the sound of hablaba. And this sound represents 4 angles at once. It can mean I used to speak, but also he, she, or it used to speak. So with hablaba, we already have 4 angles covered. We're just missing you, we, and they. To get you used to speak, you simply take hablaba and add an S to that sound. So you get hablabas. For they used to speak, you add an N, you get hablaban. And then for we used to speak, you add the mos sound, so it would become hablábamos. This is the longest of the sounds. So again, starting from the full verb hablar, the very first step is to make that switch into the imperfect sound, which would go to hablaba. And from there, the rest is very easy. You used to speak, hablabas. They used to speak, hablaban. We used to speak, hablábamos. We're adding an accent here for the pronunciation, so you're stressing this part, hablábamos. Putting it all on one slide, you can see this very clearly, that hablaba is our key sound, and we're just adding on to that to get the other angles. So we have hablaba, hablabas, hablaba, hablábamos, hablaban. Let's do the same now with an ER verb. So taking comer, the sound of comer will go to comía. So this again is our most important sound. Once we are inside of comía, the other angles are very easy. So for you used to eat, add an S, comías. They used to eat, you add an N, comían. And we used to eat, you add your mos sound, so comíamos. Again, putting it all on one slide, we have comía, comías, comía, comíamos, comían. All the way down the line, the key sound is comía. To finish up, let's try converting 2 more, but this time do it on your own. So we'll take the verb decir. What sound would decir go to in the imperfect? It would go to decía. So once we're inside of decía, the rest is very easy. Decía on its own would mean I used to say or I used to tell, but also he, she, or it used to say or used to tell. What would you used to say or you used to tell be? So here we would add an S to that sound and we get decías. What about they used to say or they used to tell? Sound is decían, so adding an N to the sound. And then finally, we used to say or we used to tell. It would be decíamos. So again, on one slide we have decía, decías, decía, decíamos, decían. Let's try it now with an AR verb like esperar. So what would esperar go to in the imperfect? Esperaba. Let's add that in. And here we have I used to wait, but also he, she, or it used to wait. What would the sound be for you used to wait? It would be esperabas. They used to wait. Esperaban. And we used to wait. Esperábamos. Add our accent here, and here we have esperábamos. So running down the line, once we are inside the sound of esperaba, the rest all flows from that sound. Esperaba, esperabas, esperaba, esperábamos, esperaban. In part 3, we're going to start with a short drill of 20 questions. We'll have 4 verbs and we'll use all the angles. So the verbs will be hablar, esperar, comer, and salir. And the angles will of course be I, you, he, she, and it, we, and they. Now, if you're still trying to get used to the sounds of the imperfect, there's a sequence that will help you a lot. For example, let's say the question was, we used to go out. So how would you express that in the imperfect? Well, first of all, you identify the verb. So the verb is to go out, and that's your starting point. So taking salir, we know that it will go to salía. And then the angle is we. So you know that once you have salía, it's relatively easy to get to salíamos. How would you say, we used to go out every night? Salíamos cada noche. Another example would be, they used to call. Again, we identify the verb to call. So we'll start with llamar, and we know that llamar will go into llamaba. From there, it's easy to get the angle of they, so we end up with the answer of llamaban. How would you say, we used to call him? Le llamaban. Alright, here we go. Try some on your own now. They used to eat. Comían. She used to wait. Esperaba. I used to speak. Hablaba. I used to speak with him every day. Hablaba con él cada día. They used to speak. Hablaban. We used to go out. Salíamos. You used to go out. Salías. You used to speak. Hablabas. They used to go out. Salían. We used to eat. Comíamos. I used to wait. Esperaba. You used to eat. Comías. You used to wait. Esperabas. We used to speak. Hablábamos. I used to go out. Salía. He used to speak. Hablaba. I used to eat. Comía. I used to eat spicy food. Spicy food would be comida picante. Comía comida picante. We used to wait. Esperábamos. They used to wait. Esperaban. Now we'll go into a longer drill. It's going to be 125 questions, which will involve 25 different verbs and all the angles. Ultimately, what you want is to be able to give your answer naturally in the time provided. However, if you need to pause the video to work it out first, then by all means do that. Just keep repeating the drill until you can get through it at a natural speed. Let's begin. They used to pay. Pagaban. He used to arrive. Llegaba. He used to arrive on time. Llegaba a tiempo. I used to swim. Nadaba. I used to swim here. Nadaba aquí. You used to go out. Salías. I used to pay. Pagaba. They used to wait. Esperaban. You used to study. Estudiabas. He used to call. Llamaba. He used to call me. Me llamaba. You used to say. Decías. You used to order. Pedías. I used to buy. Compraba. I used to buy it. Lo compraba. They used to explain. Explicaban. You used to buy. Comprabas. They used to suffer. Sufrían. You used to use. Usabas. He used to say. Decía. I used to order. Pedía. We used to call. Llamábamos. We used to call them. Les llamábamos. I used to find. Encontraba. They used to speak. Hablaban. I used to sell. Vendía. We used to work. Trabajábamos. We used to work there. Trabajábamos allí. We used to find. Encontrábamos. He used to dance. Bailaba. He used to pay. Pagaba. I used to say. Decía. I used to say it to her. Se lo decía. We used to walk. Caminábamos. They used to use. Usaban. They used to use it all the time. Lo usaban todo el tiempo. You used to arrive. Llegabas. We used to help. Ayudábamos. He used to use. Usaba. He used to swim. Nadaba. You used to have dinner. Cenabas. We used to have dinner. Cenábamos. We used to wait. Esperábamos. He used to find. Encontraba. You used to wait. Esperabas. He used to suffer. Sufría. They used to say. Decían. He used to study. Estudiaba. I used to use. Usaba. I used to use it. Lo usaba. He used to speak. Hablaba. They used to walk. Caminaban. They used to walk every day. Caminaban todos los días. He used to help. Ayudaba. He used to help me. Me ayudaba. You used to pay. Pagabas. They used to arrive. Llegaban. I used to speak. Hablaba. You used to find. Encontrabas. You used to find it difficult. Lo encontrabas difícil. He used to wait. Esperaba. We used to buy. Comprábamos. We used to buy everything there. Comprábamos todo allí. You used to swim. Nadabas. He used to sell. Vendía. He used to walk. Caminaba. You used to walk. Caminabas. You used to receive. Recibías. I used to suffer. Sufría. You used to walk. Caminabas. They used to receive. Recibían. He used to have. Tenía. You used to sell. Vendías. We used to receive. Recibíamos. You used to suffer. Sufrías. He used to explain. Explicaba. We used to go out. Salíamos. They used to have. Tenían. I used to go out. Salía. We used to pay. Pagábamos. He used to order. Pedía. He used to visit. Visitaba. He used to visit us. Nos visitaba. We used to study. Estudiábamos. They used to find. Encontraban. He used to receive. Recibía. I used to receive. Recibía. You used to speak. Hablabas. They used to work. Trabajaban. I used to wait. Esperaba. He used to go out. Salía. I used to eat. Comía. I used to eat too much. Comía demasiado. We used to suffer. Sufríamos. They used to eat. Comían. They used to sell. Vendían. We used to arrive. Llegábamos. We used to swim. Nadábamos. I used to have dinner. Cenaba. I used to have dinner very late. Cenaba muy tarde. He used to work. Trabajaba. We used to sell. Vendíamos. They used to buy. Compraban. You used to explain. Explicabas. You used to explain it very well. Lo explicabas muy bien. We used to speak. Hablábamos. He used to have dinner. Cenaba. I used to dance. Bailaba. I used to dance with her. Bailaba con ella. They used to help. Ayudaban. They used to help me. Me ayudaban. They used to order. Pedían. I used to visit. Visitaba. He used to eat. Comía. You used to eat. Comías. You used to dance. Bailabas. I used to arrive. Llegaba. I used to arrive late. Llegaba tarde. You used to help. Ayudabas. You used to visit. Visitabas. I used to have. Tenía. I used to have everything. Tenía todo. They used to go out. Salían. They used to swim. Nadaban. You used to have. Tenías. We used to use. Usábamos. I used to help. Ayudaba. He used to buy. Compraba. We used to have. Teníamos. We used to eat. Comíamos. We used to visit. Visitábamos. They used to visit. Visitaban. We used to order. Pedíamos. We used to explain. Explicábamos. I used to call. Llamaba. You used to call. Llamabas. We used to dance. Bailábamos. They used to study. Estudiaban. I used to work. Trabajaba. I used to study. Estudiaba. I used to study medicine. The word is medicina. Estudiaba medicina. They used to dance. Bailaban. They used to have dinner. Cenaban. We used to say. Decíamos. They used to call. Llamaban. I used to walk. Caminaba. I used to explain. Explicaba.